I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews we have Samuel Reid, the CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation, or GEC. Sam, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time.
Hey, Ashton, how's it going?
Very well. I'm super excited to dive into this one with you because I feel like this is the closest that we will ever get to a common thing that people often say in blockchain, or at least the degens, is Doge to the moon, and it's been the running joke for many years. But I feel like this is as close as we're ever going to get on the show, and because it looks like your team is making that into a reality. So I'm excited to dive into blockchain, space exploration, mathematics, all of the expertise that you have today. I would love to start our conversation off by, first of all, just hearing a little bit about your background in business, in blockchain, and space, and then we can dive into everything GEC.
Sounds great. Yeah, so my name's Samuel Reid, and I'm CEO of Geometric Energy Corporation, which is a research and development and consulting company originally founded in 2015 that about half a decade later expanded more into manufacturing and logistics and space missions. So we were originally involved in a lot of technology development work and then branched out into COVID response manufacturing work, and then eventually we're able to kind of roll everything into being able to fulfill this long-term vision we had for the company of being involved with SpaceX and executing on space missions. So, early on in the company, we had a solar technology, there was a battery technology, a whole bunch of different material science stuff, various inventions. We were always trying to find what kind of innovative thing we could do as like a inventor shop, essentially trying to come up with what kind of world-changing tech we could make. We came up with some really amazing stuff, such as the solid-state sodium-ion battery, which we've been well published on and is going to get commercialized eventually. But that's a non-explosive, non-toxic, non-flammable battery. So it's like a sustainable, cheaper, safer alternative to lithium ion batteries. So that will be a tech that I claim everyone will see in the world in the coming decades, sodium ion batteries and solid state batteries. So that was out of like kind of chemistry, materials, science division of things. But yeah, as part of everything along the way, we've also had like this software development and cybersecurity division that in 2017, our CTO got us to focus on crypto more and like told me about Ethereum. I think it was like April or May 2017 that I got involved into like kind of trying to learn about solidity and smart contracts and the notion of like a token being created and so on. So at first we got involved somehow like rather immediately with Ethereum through the Ethereum Foundation Shenzhen chapter, it was called. So there's a Hong Kong businessman named Samson Lee who's very involved in the fintech space over there, and he got Vitalik to come speak at the opening event of this like chapter of the project or whatever. So I was appointed as something called head of technical stream of that, and then I ended up like meeting Samson and Vitalik and all these people in like August 2021, that would have been. And then after that, I got involved with IOTA. So I was on the kind of part of the original team of IOTA in 2017 in the fall there to run up to that crazy 15 billion all-time high. I'm not like a co-founder or anything, but I was at one point like very early team. So yeah, that was quite an amazing experience in terms of like a crypto project, just like getting thrown into the deep end, because it's like, I like just got into crypto and then like, and I'm part of a $15 billion project. Okay, like let's just like see how this goes and what happens with that. So it was kind of really meteoric rise there originally, and being involved in all of that. And my position there with IOTA was also as Cubic architect. So Cubic was a project that's now live and took many years to kind of come to fruition. Sergey Ivancheglo, or Come From Beyond, was the kind of inventor and architect of that, and I was working with him on IOTA back then in 2017, and then yeah, ultimately I ended up having a lot of people from my company working for IOTA. So we had like at one point 10 of our staff were doing work for IOTA, and IOTA Foundation was like our pretty much our main customer to do development for. So it was due to IOTA that we were able to kind of like focus on more crypto projects and get into more, consulting and software development and so on. And then over the years, we eventually decided to essentially create our own project or token, which the main 2021 launch of was XI protocol. So that is the token for the utility of the claiming on the space display screens for time. I can talk more about that later, but essentially we got into creating our own project and leading that, which in association with our whole space narrative got us to where we are today. And last year I created a company meme coin called GEC, and then are also soon launching a token called the DOGE-1 token that will be like the official meme coin of DOGE-1. So there's this kind of ecosystem of projects that like excise the utility token for actually claiming with the utility of the satellite display screens to display images on them. And then there's GEC as a meme coin, and also DeSci project. So we're enabling some decentralized science efforts. There's going to be a second round of proposals. There was like a first initial contest. Some guy actually sent up like something into outer space on a balloon, unless he faked it. But I think it was real after a lengthy verification and talking to the guy. But yeah, so I'll pass over back to you. But that's a bit of a kind of broad strokes of the whole situation and ecosystem and narrative on our end. So.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of amazing work, Sam. And in terms of the blockchain side, it sounds like you have great experience. We actually just had IOTA. They're continuing to grow out new layer twos and stuff. I just also spoke to them recently. But I'm
Nice.
curious on the space side. You mentioned there about screens and putting advertisements. Can you give a bigger picture of what exactly are you guys doing in space? You're working with SpaceX somehow and sending things into space.
Yeah, so our company is a SpaceX customer, so we hire SpaceX to launch our satellites, and then we also design and create our own satellites to launch. So it's really our company invents a mission, and then we have to design the satellite, contract it getting created, and then also hire SpaceX to launch that satellite, and then like put it all together and launch it up with other companies involved to help that happen as well, like subcontractors. There's an integration services company called Maverick Space that we work with, as well as a mission management company called XISP Inc. And then our satellite subcontractor company is called Exobotics Limited. They're in the UK. So essentially what we have to do is acquire from SpaceX the spot to launch something, and then have the something to launch. Either we create it ourselves, or a customer of ours pays us to launch their satellite. So we're in the business of reselling payload space from SpaceX to other customers, and then also using it ourselves partially. So like part of the business model is to essentially have so much margin that we can launch stuff to space for free from our perspective, because we've sold enough, like we've resold enough other satellite spots that okay, now there's enough margin for us to launch one, and then do more ride shares to eventually get to, okay, now we can launch one. And so that's something that we're continuing on. We have 2 mission series. One is to Earth orbit and one's to lunar orbit. So the geometric mission series, there's geometric 1, geometric 2, and and so on. There will be a geometric 3 later as well, but that's not really announced unless you consider this the announcement of that. But there was geometric 1 successfully launched in January 2023. So we launched a satellite for the US government on that. So that was really amazing. We got to go down to the launch, and we're at NASA with our team and saw the rocket go up and saw it land as well, which was really crazy. And normally they have on water landings. It's like really rare that they re-land it back on the ground right by. So they told us, they're like, yo, you guys are lucky. Normally you don't see the re-landing part. So that was really cool. But yeah, and then the Geometric 2 mission is another 2 satellites. One of them is the no-clip satellite. So that's one of our customers' satellites. I'll maybe speak about that in a bit. But then also another Earth orbit satellite, which is our satellite that GEC is launching for the space display screen to Earth orbit. So you can claim the images you'll display on the screen, and then a camera captures it happening in space with the Earth imagery of the the background in orbit. So there will be this stream of these images from space with orbiting the Earth. So that will have like this space enhanced advertising kind of effect, and notoriety towards like impressions and conversion for. So we're going to try to have it be like a widely recognized thing of what's on the space screen at that time, and having a lot of people kind of checking in and re-engaging with what's on the space screen and so on. So we're hoping to use that as like a really innovative way of having traffic and conversion towards some type of advertising, kind of like how when Web 2 like video ads and stuff came out, like YouTube really championed that. That wasn't like a thing really of like, okay, you're on the internet playing a video and there's ads over the videos and getting paid for that. That wasn't a thing until they did that. So similarly, we're trying to innovate this like Web3 space ads nexus of that all, to kind of like bring the whole notion of digital ads and digital marketing to the next level, from like expanding from Web 2 to Web 3 and expanding into outer space literally as well. So
that's very cool, Sam.
Yeah,
and I'm specifically curious about the DOGE-1, and that's a lunar orbit, so you're actually going outside of the Earth.
Yeah, so I was talking all about the Earth orbit stuff just there, and then there's also the moon mission, which is the DOGE-1 mission to the moon, and that's where our company became SpaceX's first crypto-paying customer, sending millions of Doge to SpaceX to book the DOGE-1 lunar satellite launching to the moon. So what we did with that is hired a launch service agreement for SpaceX to launch our satellite. So I'm coming to them, I've got my satellite I want to launch to the moon, will you launch it for me? And then Elon saying like, yes, but you can only pay me in Doge.
He said that?
Elon did tell his management contact, Tom, who I was talking to, that yeah, Doge was the only denomination to be able to pay it. And I originally actually tried to pay it in Bitcoin, but because we had done the first Earth orbit mission with just like wires, and then wanted to try to do something innovative in terms of like crypto payment method. But yeah, ultimately it was SpaceX that decided that we would have to pay in Doge.
So. That's amazing. It's a great use case. And now what's the state of that and sort of the timeline for everything to happen?
So presently there's been years of development on the mission management, as well as satellite design and procurement and creation. So at this point, we've made it all the way to having approved FCC licenses for the radio transmitting of the satellite from the moon to the Earth and back. So that's a really big hurdle in sort of space mission efforts, is getting the FCC license that's allowing you to use your radios to communicate over like a specific band that is like your assigned thing. So that's like this generally multi-year effort where you have to get all these different, US government word soup and more involved, like the ITU and the NTIA and all these other NASA offices, and like it's really amazing to kind of corral them all into approving the whole situation. And I obviously needed help making that happen, which is how we have these very subcontractor companies like XISP was very instrumental in that. Like, thank you to Gary Barnhard, our mission manager. He's who kind of ultimately achieved the licensing for the mission. And then Exobotics Limited in the UK is finishing the construction of the satellite. So we've got all the parts paid for and ordered and are there for both the flat sat and the actual satellite. So we had to buy the satellite twice. I didn't actually know that originally. So you have to have like a version. It's like all the parts laid out. It's like the got strewn out on the table, like demo version, and then there's like the actual constructed one, and you keep the laid out non-constructed one like operationally unfolded like an origami thing to be able to use and debug and test and stuff, so that when you're gonna want to do something on the actual satellite, you like run it and test it and do it on the flat sat thing that's like on the earth in the lab, and then if it like does what it's supposed to, then you can like send up the space commands to doing that thing in space, and that helps you prevent from like making a lot of mistakes in space, because if you're going to make that mistake, you make it on the flat sat thing and realize like, oh yeah, that would have like ruined it or whatever. So we got to the point that there's the flat sat and the construction of the actual satellite happening, and should be shipped to the US by the end of the summer to ideally make it on the IM2 mission, although it may make it to on the next one after that, which is IM3. So IM stands for Intuitive Machines, which is a lunar lander company that is launching a mission series of lunar lanterns to the moon with SpaceX, and then we're a ride share on their mission. So similarly to how like I provide ride shares to Earth orbit, SpaceX is doing a lunar ride share with me, where I'm the ride share on their thing. So yeah, that's how we're doing it. So it's gonna launch and go to TLI, which is called like translunar injection, and it'll fire a propulsion system and try to enter into a lunar orbit. So it's a really crazy mission. Like nobody really has done that, of sending a CubeSat with propulsion into a lunar orbit on a private commercial mission. So
it's very cool, Sam. And now, so the mission is DOGE-1. The currency paid for the mission is Doge, which is unprecedented and very cool. And you also mentioned there about the Web3 advertisements. I'm curious if there's any further interaction with blockchain decentralization and how that may be involved in the mission.
Yeah, so like the main feature, I guess, in terms of like Web3 user experience, or like Web3 connected space infrastructure, is through claiming the images on the screen with crypto. So you go to xiprotocol.io and connect your wallet, and there's a screen and a calendar, and you can claim paying with the tokens for a booking spot on the calendar. So that's like very Web3 experience of like, to get your image on the screen, you're not going to be able to do so just like going to a website. You got to like connect wallet and like pay with, do an actual transaction on a mainnet of a blockchain to like get there. You know what I mean? So we're trying to force that sort of stuff to happen. Although we're also like interested in kind of like fiat payment rails as possible to onboard into that. Like, but yeah, I mean, in terms of also further user experience access or decentralization of this kind of like crypto space experience. Another aspect of the XI protocol project in particular is the SATCOM network and SATCOM devices. So this is an entirely separate thing from the space missions launching, where it is essentially a node you can get shipped, and it records time, temperature, and location, and then sends it up to a satellite network. And that data, as verified going through the satellite network and coming back down, as reported into something called the meta oracle counts as data submitted. So it's this sort of decentralized weather sensing network. It reports time, temperature, and location all over the world based on all of these nodes everywhere. It's not live yet, but we're working on like late stage development. The ST9101, which is the hardware device, is done and has all these features and functionality to connect with the Inmarsat network. So the satellites that it connects to, the SATCOM device on the ground, already exist and are up there, and we're just using those existing networks to achieve this this goal. And what will happen there is users can pay with XI for questions they ask of the network. It's predictive questions, and then all of these devices reporting this stuff can get rewards based on how preemptively correct they're reporting things, as well as in real time what they're reporting and the accuracy of that. And then we compare it against like Chainlink data feeds and Google data feeds and AccuWeather and stuff like that. So there's a whole like juxtaposition of all of this data, like all the Web 2 stuff you can get, what these Chainlink oracles say, and then all of our stuff. And that as a system can be more predictive than like just being able to, you know, Google like what's the weather and like see this like rad.
Yeah, more than 50% of the time you Google the weather and it says it's raining, and you look outside, you're like, it's not raining. So
Yeah,
I think
so
we
that's
definitely
because
have better systems for that.
yeah, like, and a lot of that inaccuracy is because it's slightly off. It's not like GPS correct. Like you're like, is it, you know, weather Vancouver, and it's like it's not raining where I am here, but at the airport it is raining, and the airport temperature sensors, and the airport sensors are what is feeding into the Google data. So that's why it's saying it's raining in Vancouver, because it is actually over at the airport. So like, and that's the closest, you know, sensor nearby that's reporting into that stuff. What we want to do is create like a more refined, you know, mesh network of more than there are airports in the world, number of nodes. Normally it's like these airport sensors that feed into a lot of these weather data systems and Google weather data and stuff like that. And you know, if we have a network that's, you know, got a closer node to you than your closest airport, then we're going to be providing better data than all the Google and AccuWeather stuff. So this isn't live.
That makes complete sense. I feel like the technology is definitely antiquated with the airport locations, because, you know, people can be hours from the airport, and it's totally wrong. And with decentralized networks, I feel like that's something that we could easily solve.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to tackle that, and that's also like a Web3 space connected user experience type situation as well, in terms of being able to you know, report data through space and getting rewards for that, or also being able to query that from like a predictive analytics perspective.
And now,
So
with Doge being a big part of the mission and the advertisements, I feel like the meme communities, which have grown so strong in 2023, 2024, it's become a legitimate subcategory of crypto, more than people ever expected, which is amazing because, you know, Doge is sort of leading the pack and it's been around. But I feel like people did not expect it to get this big. I feel like they're going to have it's going to be a lot of communities in memes will probably attract to this part of the project when the satellites launch and the advertisements are ready to go. I know that GEC has also created a meme community of sorts. Can you talk about the meme side of it and what the GEC token is doing as well?
yeah, so there's definitely a lot of, you know, market dynamics forming around meme coins and memes having communities and further and so on. Doge is kind of like the original crypto meme, you know, as far as I'm concerned. So that's been something that is like decadally relevant and had a kind of impression of staying power. So that we've got Doge as a meme sort of like championing and spearheading our efforts into that is like a good narrative basis. And then as far as the GEC token goes, that's a meme coin about the company. So, and you know, what it has going on or has done. So there's a variety of sort of deals and opportunities and what we have had happen, varying from all this technology development to COVID response and to these space missions, and not necessarily DOGE-1 stuff, but all these other things too that I've been mentioning, and these Earth orbit satellites, and other endeavors, such as even moving into the silicon carbide business, which we recently announced, working with American Integrated Circuits, which is a made in USA company for manufacturing silicon carbide, which is used in the supply chain for microchips. So we're kind of like heavily upstream to the whole AI demand, because like to train AI models, you need GPUs, and for the GPUs, you need these microchips, which need silicon carbide. So if you are just on the raw commodity side of it further, you're getting exposure to that whole wave of business. So yeah, and then it's also about decentralized science. So we're going to announce these, round 2 of proposals further to sort of fund some substantial decentralized science projects that are to support the narrative of space awareness and space innovation and so on. So there's like XI as a utility token, and then GEC is like a meme coin about the company, as well as this DeFi project. And then there's also the DOGE-1 token that is launching soon, that there's been various unofficial sort of fan attempts at it, but we never did yet. And now we're actually creating like the official DOGE-1 token as a meme coin that's like purely just the DOGE-1 meme coin. And it's not about GC, it's not about me, it's not about necessarily, any of this past stuff. It's just like the DOGE-1 meme coin. And obviously, like, our existing things matter in ensuring we fulfill the dreams and vision of that, and DOGE-1 actually launches as a thing and so on. But it just, it turns out that the general community, I claim, is probably more interested to buy just the DOGE-1 meme coin than like my company name. Like I'm not bearish about that token. I mean, I believe that the GEC token is still of interest and as a meme coin in of its own right, and the DeFi projects it can do, and the whole narrative and ecosystem that exists there are something that, like, I think you would like find out second, because you already bought DOGE-1, and then you actually hear about, okay, well, what's the company behind that? Oh, GC, and then you find about about that later. So there's almost like an onion of an ecosystem going on from our end that already exists, but it's reached a point where we need to do a marketing move to expand our target addressable market to more than what's already there. So that's kind of the almost 3-pronged approach, I guess, of like utility token that exists already and is doing the space display time claiming, as well as that whole SATCOM network scenario, and then GEC as a meme coin and DeFi project, and then the DOGE-1 token is like pure meme coin, no utility, DeFi sort of play. So if you're interested in you're only interested in like tech infra utility stuff, it's like, okay, well, maybe this project is more for you, or you know what I mean? So I'm trying to make it so that maybe, there's just like a larger target addressable market and a bigger community that can grow, and, a variety of overlapping narratives that can kind of fuel it all,
It's very cool, Sam. It's a lot. It's like you're working like Elon. Like, do you ever sleep? You're working in space. You're working on the memes. You're working on the renewable energy. And it's one thing to say, Doge to the moon, but to actually lay out the plan, which from what I can see, it's years and years in the making, especially when you get into the space industry, going through the bureaucracies of, okay, I've got to get the FCC license, and this 3-letter agency, that one, this one, and half a decade later, you finally have a satellite that's ready to launch into the moon to actually take Doge to the moon. So I understand that it's easier said than done, and it sounds like your team's doing a great job on it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is easier said than done. And if at the outset I knew what it would take, I don't know if I would have gone for it, but I'm this far now. There's just no stopping now. So it's like a one-way function has occurred. Let's go. But it's been yeah, definitely a multi-year endeavor and quite something to achieve. And I'm very grateful to all of my collaborators and all these subcontractor companies and people working with me at GEC, as well as on just any of these projects or community holders or who have been around and believed in it all. Because originally at various launches of like these projects like XI or GEC or coming up DOGE-1, people are sort of like, is this real? Like,
Hmm.
they even like the government people getting all these approvals, it was very much like you're doing what? You're like you actually spent all the money already on that. Like and these government people are like skeptical or whatever, but they check with SpaceX and they're like, oh no, yeah, that's real. Like it's
The
happening.
world's a crazy place, and Elon is making crazy things acceptable, and I think that this is more than acceptable, because it's for a good cause. And
Yeah,
I wanted to just get a little bit more information on the DOGE-1 crypto part of it, because I feel like it's a great segue into the actual launch happening, is to have the crypto part and to have people sort of backing that in. How, the timelines, of course, it's dependent on the launch itself. As you mentioned, it could, depending on all of the steps needed. How do you follow along for the token launch and for the satellite launch to make sure that you don't miss out on the opportunities when they come up?
yeah. So the token launch for the DOGE-1 token is actually very soon. Like today is June 27th, and it should be out by the end of the month. So it's in
Hmm.
the next few days here that that will happen. And then the launch itself was originally scheduled to have already happened. However, it's been delayed originally due to lack of licensing, and then we
Hmm.
finally got the licensing, but then had a like radio ranging issue that now has been resolved. So the launch date is looking like it would be December this year at the moment, IM2 mission, or it would make it next year on the IM3 mission. So there's yeah, like either IM2 or IM3 later in the year or a few months after that next year would be when this is actually finally happening. And we have the big launch party and fly down there and go see it all and have a you know huge push of the whole situation. So
It's very cool, and I feel like there's a bit of a summer lull in crypto right now from all of the hype of the Bitcoin ETF launching in the beginning of 2024, and then the halving event, and now Ethereum ETF approval, and just the rest of crypto. There needs to be some like breathing periods, and I feel like that summer right now, there's a small breathing period, but it's been more engaging than it ever has been in the past cycles, in the past years. And I feel like around December and leading into 2025, it's probably going to be even crazier. So I'm hoping that you guys have good timing on the launch, where people are actually excited. New people that aren't really involved in blockchain are like, hey, blockchain's hot right now at the time of the launch, and they're not in it yet, and that gets more people interested in the benefits of decentralization and Web3. So I'm hoping that all works out on the timing. On the token launch, which is coming up very soon, what's the best way to follow along on the socials or the website, and to make sure that I don't miss it or the viewers don't miss it?
well, the Telegram is just official Doge to the moon. So that's the like t.me/official Doge to the moon is how you join the Telegram. So in there is probably the best way to make sure that if you're in the right Telegram and getting a pinned message from the mods, it's going to be the right thing. There's already a lot of fakes and sort of spam attempts at like, oh, it launched, and it's like, no, that's not
Mm-hmm.
the one. So there's a lot of that will probably be coming over the few days here. Even we saw that happen in the Telegram already when I did the own the Doge spaces this morning. There was like a bunch of spam of a fake launch, so
Mm.
you gotta watch out for that stuff. But the official channels of like at Geometric Energy, the Twitter, as well as my personal Twitter, Samuel Reid GEC, correlated with that Telegram. Like, you know, hopefully people don't get scammed and manage to
Yeah.
actually get and stuff. So, but you know,
No worries. I can make sure that the socials are in the show notes below as well, and I'll put all those there, and people can double check for themselves. It's still a little crazy in crypto, but I feel like that should be a good enough pointer. I'm really looking forward to the actual launch and the launch of this. I feel like it's something that could warrant attention from people that love Doge, maybe Elon. And of course SpaceX being involved in helping the satellite go. I'm wishing you guys all the best on getting all of the green ticks and making it happen. And then I'll be there to buy some advertising in space when it is all said and done. So it's very cool. Thank you so much, Sam.
amazing. Well, thanks for having me on. And yeah, we're really looking forward to making this all happen and you know, having Doge get to the moon in various senses. So
Let's go.
awesome.